Hey everyone, it's Jace here again, and in this video we're going to be going through the goals and values of your target audience. So I'll be going into two different aspects on this. One in the sense of your actual content, your actual music, and also in terms of merchandising, okay? This is a very, very powerful little section that you really need to dive into and really think about. And there is no right or wrong answer. You don't have to think of it in one or the other terms or both terms. So long as you know where you're coming from and you're clear in your message, you're going to connect with your audience. So goals. Why does someone want to listen to music to begin with? Do they want to escape reality? Do they want something to relate to? Do they just really love music? Do they really appreciate technical musicians when they're playing guitar, when they're playing really complicated and technical guitar solos? What are the goals of your audience? Okay, that's what you want to think about. It could be a case of, Rocker Rick, the tradesman. He just wants to blow off steam for the whole week because he's had a really rough week at work, and it's an escape of reality. It helps him express himself. Another goal could be that they don't feel like they belong, and so by listening to your music, they feel like they belong to something. That can also cross over into challenges and pain points, but it's also a goal, that sense of belonging. Okay? So that's goals in terms of your music. But what about in terms of merchandise? Okay? Now, there's a few different areas here, and there's a few different thoughts of which you can go about this. So what is it that you want people to feel, your audience to feel, when they wear your band shirt? Do they want to feel confident that they're wearing your band shirt, they're part of a community, that they're part of a family? Look at Black Label Society. The Doom Crew, and they've broken it down into, this is the Denver chapter. It makes them feel like a brotherhood and makes them feel like they're part of a community. So when you wear your Black Label Society t-shirt, you're part of the Doom Crew. They even did a release of the actual bikey vests. How cool is that in terms of building a community? You feel like that you're part of the Black Label inner circle. You've got this leather jacket, and you could be the only one in town with this jacket. I know for here in Brisbane, when they came out the very first time, there was maybe one, maybe two people in the entire crowd that actually had the jackets. So in terms of them feeling special as being a fan, that's what they've done. In terms of merchandising, you could think of it in another aspect in terms of, like Beyonce and Jay-Z and Diddy and all those guys. When you wear their merchandise, you're ahead of the latest fashion. You're cool. So they're speaking to the goals, and they make their fans feel confident because they're ahead. They're part of the in crowd. Whether you agree with that or not, in terms of that's how it should be or whatever, that's irrelevant. Okay? It all comes down to understanding who your market is. Don't worry about that stuff. If it's not you, then don't focus on it. Focus on community building with your merchandise, like what Black Label did. Okay? Values. Now, values really speaks more to the actual, or it is both, in the sense of, in terms of merchandising, it could be your audience doesn't, that they don't like cruelty to animals. And so part of your values for merchandising is it's all organic, where you don't, it's all made from organic materials. You don't outsource it to any third world countries where there could be a chance of child labor. You make sure that there's stringent policies. That's what, in terms of values when it comes to merchandise. What are the values when it comes to merchandise? Do you want your perfect fan to know that even though they're wearing like a $15 band tour shirt, that they're still getting top quality, that tour shirt is going to last them 10 years without fading? Okay? In terms of music, this is where it sort of gets a little bit more complicated, and it's really dependent on the style of music that you play. Because with pop music, people don't really care if you decide to, quote unquote, sell out by promoting Coca-Cola products, right? So they don't really care about that. That's not a value. However, with rock music and heavy metal, that's a big no-no. If you, for 1 second, hold up a can of Coke, look at the camera directly, and smile at it and give a wink, you're dead to your audience. Your audience don't care anymore. They don't care about you, and they've instantly lost respect because you've sold out. That's a value. That's a core value that your audience holds. Now, for most of that, heavy metal bands, they know that core value. They know that through and through, and majority of the time they don't actually do it, which is really awesome. So values, a lot of the time, bands aren't going to have too much of a problem with it. However, you still want to get it down on paper and even dive deeper. I mean, what could also be another value? Well, let's take, for instance, Metallica. All right, one of the biggest rock bands in the world that's ever come to pass. Right? The values that they held, they were a really thrash metal band, then they decided to go a little bit more commercial, right? With the Black Album. So they went commercial, and you know what? I'm completely cool with that. I personally like the Black Album and the other subsequent albums, except the obvious one, the album that shall not be named. And now they've gone back to their real thrashy ways, because they were able to pick up a much larger segment of the marketplace by broadening by broadening their style of music. They were still able to retain a lot of the older fans, and then when they eventually came back to the thrash music, they picked up the older fans again. And for what they've done and how they've paved the way for all the up and coming rock bands, I think people have sort of gone, yeah, well, fair enough. All right, we'll let this one slide, guys. Just make sure you don't do it again. So that's the sort of stuff you want to look at values. In another way of looking at it, you look at a band like Slayer. Slayer have not changed a single aspect of their music the whole time they've been around, right? Because they know their fans love the way they sound and they don't want any different. And they know that, and that's what they deliver. They deliver the same Slayer sound every single album after album, and it's worked for them because they understand that. They understood the values that their perfect fan held, right? So that's it for this video. In the next section, we're going to go over challenges and pain points. This is going to be a very, very crucial step in this process, especially when it comes down to the creative writing process, and you'll understand why when we get to that video. I really hope that you were able to learn something really valuable in this lesson, and please follow us on Instagram and get to it. Fill this section out. All right.